The Jimmy IV Sexy Cool Lounge is an inspirational podcast spreading positive energy and only good vibes into the universe through personal discovery, empowerment, and self-love awareness. Now, please join me in the Sexy Cool Lounge with our creator and host, Jimmy IV.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you might be watching this live vibe, all right? And may your vibe be cruising at an altitude that is so sexy cool. So as always, at the beginning of every one of these episodes in Vibe Lives, right? If you're new to the Sexy Cool Lounge, thank you. Thank you for giving us some of your time and your attention and just allowing us to just spread a little bit of positive energy and good vibes only along your journey, all right? So we really appreciate that. If you're so inclined, check out any one of the episodes over at the website, www.sexycoollounge.com. And please follow the podcast on any one of your podcast platforms, all right? So we are live and ready to rock and roll. And I have a very special guest. She was on episode 90. Some of you may be familiar with her, but if you're not, let me give you just a little bit of who she is, right? She's an inspirational speaker. She's also an author, but more importantly, she is the founder and owner of the Radiant Life Project, right? And I'll have her explain more in detail as to what that is all about. So without further ado, please welcome into the Vibe Live version of the Sexy Cool Lounge, Miss Kate King. Kate, how are you today?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here with you again. It's always so fun to share conversations with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time and your energy. So before we get started, you know how this works. First question out the gate is, Kate, what does sexy cool mean to you?
I think it means in this moment, just living in your body in an embodied experience of life, however life presents.
And that is a perfect answer because it's all in the perspective of the person who's giving it. I've said many times before, I've asked that question a million times, but I've never received the same answer twice. So thank you once again for leaving your footprint on not only Sexy Cool Lounge Energy, but also on that question as well. So the reason I asked you to be a part of this Vibe Live was I happened to be on your social media and you had a clip that talked about toxic is toxic, right? And I thought about it for a minute. I was like, wow, that's profound. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of, I feel like we use the word toxic so much in everyday life for any given situation, right? That it's become normalized. But in your video clip, you brought us back home to really understand the meaning of no. Toxic is toxic. And I wanted to bring you on so you could truly highlight for us around the world the meaning of it, what it's all about, what we're not to accept when we're confronted in this situation, regardless of who it is. It could be a close friend, it could be a family member, it could be a companion. It doesn't excuse the environment or the behavior. Toxic is toxic, right? So please bring us up to speed on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, toxic is anything that harms you. And we're familiar with this, especially, in the world we live in now. We know that certain chemicals are toxic to our body. We know that there are certain things toxic to our environment. And the context that I was relating to in my video was toxic relationships and how people can treat each other with toxicity that truly harms each other. And it's not even conscious all the time. Sometimes, with the best of intentions, people can harm each other. And this isn't to say that every time a person gets hurt feelings or feels in some way upset by another person that it's toxic. Toxicity really implies that the behavior has been repeated over time to the extent where it's causing damage. And oftentimes with toxic relationships, the biggest problem is that nothing seems to be changing despite a person's efforts to repair the relationship or to communicate how harmful it is. They're not being met with any kind of receival of what that message is. The other person doesn't seem to care that they're being hurtful, or they don't believe them, or they manipulate the person out of even believing that their pain is valid. And so that's kind of what I was meaning with toxicity, is repeated negative, harmful, abusive maltreatment in some way to your mind, body, heart, or soul that can occur in a relationship. And the piece that was really important for me to express in that video is that toxic is toxic, hard stop, no matter who it is, because a lot of times people will justify why they're tolerating certain treatment and behavior from other people. And it can usually sound like, oh, but it's my mom, or it's my best friend. I've known this person forever, or it's my daughter, it's my boss. I have no choice. But the truth is, there's always a choice. And no person, no matter how well they know you, how long they've known you, what position of superiority or rank they hold in your life, no one is allowed to harm you ever, for any circumstance, in any way. And it's your responsibility as the inhabitant of your own mind, body, heart, soul system to draw the line and to say no to any kind of toxic behavior that hurts you.
I want to touch on real quick. You said it's your responsibility, right? And in keeping in that mindset of it's our personal responsibility, why is it that you think, for the most part, we have a difficult challenge with owning up to that responsibility?
Oh, it's so complex and it's so deep. And usually, if it's a relationship that feels simple, if it's an acquaintanceship, those are the types of relationships that you don't often have toxicity from because you don't care that much about them. You can walk away. The most toxic relationships that keep people kind of stuck and in avoidance of how harmful it is are the close relationships where someone feels deeply connected or sort of trapped in a relationship with someone and they don't know how to just walk away from the toxicity. They're sort of marinating in it. And it might be years or decades of exposure to this toxic relationship. And there are ways that we sort of adapt in our psyche to tolerate that type of harm and discomfort. And it might look like staying in a nervous system response of survival, being in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And the fawn nervous system response is not talked about a lot, but that's essentially when your body thinks that you have to just make this person comfortable, make it okay, sort of placate and people please so that if they seem like they're okay, then you're safe. And a lot of people use fawning behaviors for safety without knowing that they're doing so. And there's a lot of great videos and media out there about people pleasing right now and how it's a self-abandoning behavior that's really adaptive for situations like this, because on some deep level, you know that the toxic person is dangerous and that you need to protect yourself from them, but you're not sure how. And so trying to just appease them and keep them happy seems like the safest idea, but it's not, because it doesn't repair anything. It just prolongs and avoids the problem. And so that's why it can be really complex, because there's all types of embedded narratives and cultural beliefs and systems that say, oh, but it's your mother. You can't just walk away from her. You can't set boundaries with family. Blood is thicker than water, right? We have all these little sayings that normalize that you're just supposed to take it with certain people. And I really want to be a voice in advocacy that healthy relationships are essential, they're crucial, and you don't have to take maltreatment from anyone ever.
Is part of what you're saying about the normalizing of all of these different behavior or actions, if you will, right? I guess in my mind, I'm thinking because there is the normalization of that, now when you get over into the toxic side of it, we carry over that normalization now at the next level. So now we're really kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, because not only did we normalize it on the front end, now that we need to have some awareness and make executive decisions, if you will, we really are kind of confused, because we're now taking the normalization portion of it as well to the next level, so that now we're kind of in a confused state of what to do here, because we really normalized behavior and actions and surroundings at the lower level, if I'm kind of putting it in a metaphoric way. Yes.
Yeah, I understand. So, what happens because we're resilient creatures and we're so adaptive is we can raise our threshold of tolerance to really anything in life. And that's how human beings have survived. And it's not the way for us to thrive, becoming more and more comfortable with abuse and with toxicity. So, it's almost like we grow thicker and thicker skin to protect ourselves, but we don't realize that the thickness of that skin is creating a barrier where we can't be ourselves and we can't really know other people, because we've put in place so much padding between ourselves and other people because we feel so unsafe. That increased threshold of just adapting to normal, this feels normal, this feels normal, it doesn't mean that it's healthy. It's really disconnecting. And the most dire form of disconnection is when you're disconnected from yourself. And that kind of acclimating to a toxic relationship keeps you disconnected from yourself, because it's a repeated form of self-abandonment, because you're not standing up for your dignity and for the way that you deserve to be treated by other people.
Standing up for your dignity, family. And I mean, those are things that we talk about so much in the Sexy Cool Lounge. If anyone who is resonating with what you're bringing to the table right now, what are some of the things that we should be aware of or identify that maybe in the normalization of things in maybe our lives, or if we were to look at one of our friends or a family member or anything else, how do we start to identify some of the things that we may need to either question, or that we should look at as a potential red flag, or say it is a red flag? If this is happening, it needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. So, the first piece is just to attune to yourself and to really notice when your body or your mind or your heart is telling you no in relationship to a person. And there is a very slight moment, almost like the space between breaths, where if you can notice this little moment of decision when you're in a toxic dynamic, there's a part of you that says no. And then there's this moment where you decide if you're going to draw a boundary or if you're going to give in and people please or self abandon. And that little space, it's like what Viktor Frankl said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that there is a space between stimulus and response where you have the power to choose. And so you have the power to choose in every single dynamic you're in how you want to respond to it and how you want to show up for yourself, how embodied you want to be in that moment. And so having that attunement and noticing when your body is saying no, it could feel like an icky feeling. It can feel like your walls are going up and you feel protected. You might feel disconnected. You might notice that you're dissociating and daydreaming a little bit, disconnecting. And there might be people in your life who love you, who are telling you that this relationship is harming you, and maybe you haven't wanted to hear it, or you've kind of justified to them almost to convince yourself why you've stayed in this harmful dynamic. But I think if you have a toxic relationship in your life and you get really honest with yourself, there are probably people in your life who have been trying to tell you that this person's not good for you. So just sort of noticing the signs is the first and most important piece, and then attending to them with love and with help from outside people who can support you to make the really big changes you need to make to either set new boundaries or sometimes walk away from a harmful relationship that's not ever going to be in your highest good.
We talk about making executive decisions on the Sexy Cool Lounge. And the reason why I was just smiling is because I just released an episode called The Acceptance Vibe, where you have to come to that point in your life where some things you have to accept, right? And you just have to just accept the reality of it and move on, you know? And it just really mirrors what you were just saying. So the next thing I want to kind of really ask you is, what are some examples that we could share? Like, this is something that is a red flag, or this person, if this family member or this close person, if they say this to you, or if they're constantly doing this, what are some things that a listener can listen to or watch and say, oh, I didn't know that. Okay. At least now we're putting that seed in their mind to say, you may want to, check this out, or address this, or just be aware of it moving forward, that this is not healthy or this isn't right.
Mhm. Well, physical violence of any kind is never okay. So if you're in a relationship with someone who hits, pushes, kicks, pinches, hurts you physically in any way, that's a warning sign. Even if they apologize, even if they didn't mean it, we're not supposed to be violent with one another. So that would be a warning sign that I think many people probably know about. But one that people don't know about quite as much is the signs for psychological and emotional abuse. So, one of those is manipulation and gaslighting, which was the Merriam Webster word of the year for 2022, because it has become such a well known phenomenon, which is great to be raising the awareness. But for those who don't know, gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation when someone essentially makes you question your reality by planting seeds in your mind that maybe you don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you don't know what you're feeling. Maybe you're making it up. Are you really too sensitive? Did that really happen? Those are all gaslighting responses. And so if someone is speaking to you, if you're coming with a heartfelt communication about how you feel, and someone says, that didn't happen, or it's not a big deal, or you're too sensitive, or this is normal. Everyone knows that you're crazy, but this happens to everyone. All of these justifications are forms of gaslighting. So definitely be looking for that. Also, be looking for relationships that don't give back as much as you are giving in. So, reciprocal relationships, mutual relationships, relationships that feel like you're mutually benefiting from the connection. So, if you feel like you're the only one reaching out, or someone in your life only reaches out to you when they need something from you or under certain conditions, that would be a red flag. It's also a red flag when someone can't hear you or doesn't want to hear you when you're trying to speak honestly, when all they want to do is blame you or accuse you of something, but they don't even consider that your feelings might be valid and you might be making this proclamation of your experience for a really good reason. So those are just a few signs. But I really think that your body, if you listen, if your body gives you a tightness or a squirmy feeling, an icky feeling, that is something to listen to, because your mind will try to justify things, but your body doesn't know how to lie. So your body will always tell you if something doesn't feel healthy for you.
Your body does not know how to tell you how to lie. Bringing it home today. Your body does not know how to lie. I firmly believe in that. And I think we all, if we're really honest with ourselves and we look back on certain situations, our vibrational frequency was telling us something. We just weren't listening to it, or we were listening to it, but we didn't put value on what your body was trying to say, because I do believe that your body and, your consciousness, it all has your best interests at heart. You know what I'm saying? If we really listen to it, at the end of the day. So thank you for really giving us a true understanding of toxic is toxic. And, I think we're better off today knowing more about it, the meaning of it, the value of it, and how we can be more aware of it than we were before this Vibe Live. So I want to kind of switch gears just for a quick moment. And I did mention in the beginning that you're an author, right? You kind of wear, multiple hats right now. So I know you have a book coming out. So please tell us about the book and where can we find it once it's available?
Yeah, I'm so excited about my book. It's called The Radiant Life Project. It is based off of my 15 plus years as a licensed therapist, a board certified art therapist, and it is also reflective of my own healing and growth journey as I've sort of navigated this crooked adventure of life and picked up some gems along the way. So it's an integration and it includes neuroscience, Buddhist psychology. It includes brain sciences. It includes creativity and art therapy, different forms of psychotherapy, including internal family systems and many others. And it's sort of a groundbreaking synergy. It's like a masterclass into yourself and into your own self work so that you can heal anything within you that is ready to be healed so that you can then radiate your light outward from there and be a positive force in humanity.
And where can we find the book?
The book is available now for pre-order anywhere online where you buy your books. And I actually have a special discount. Can I
Oh,
share that? Yeah.
absolutely.
So this is only through my publisher's website, and the
Okay.
publisher's website is www.roman.com, ROWMAN. And you can look up the book, The Radiant Life Project, and add it to your cart. And then in checkout, you can put in the discount code RL F and F 30. That's RL F and F 30. And you'll get 30% off of your book. And it officially releases on November 1st, but it should be shipping out probably sometime in October, a little bit before the release date. So I hope you read it. I hope you benefit from it. I would love to hear from you about how you read the book and if you need any support as you're moving through it. And it's my offering to the world to help raise the vibration and help people heal.
And that's what we do here. We're always trying to put positive energy and good vibes only into our universe. And I can tell you now, Kate King, you are doing an amazing job with putting that energy in and making sure that we all are appreciative of the energy that you're putting in, man, because it is definitely on fire. So I want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to really be enlightened by what you are saying, your mission, your passion, giving us a better understanding of toxic is toxic. And just we're grateful for your time. Thank you for leaving a footprint on the Vibe Live continuation. So thank you for everything that you do. And I am so proud of what you're doing and just much success to you moving forward.
Thank you so, so much. Appreciate you too.
Absolutely. And family, as we get ready to get up out of here, remember, love yourself. Love yourself enough to radiate your vibe. Okay. And let's never forget that even though we do not have as much as others, man, we still have more than others. So let's continue to put good vibes into this universe so we can always get good vibes back. I'm Jimmy IV. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next Vibe Live.